Hello, everyone. I'm Vishal Krishna, the business editor at Your Story and your moderator for today's exciting session on easing trade and Forex path for MSMEs. This session is powered by Yes Bank. To discuss and deliberate on this topic, we have a great lineup of speakers. Let me start by introducing our first speaker, Mr. Ravikant Sharma, founder and CEO at SastaSundar.com. How are you, Ravi?
Good afternoon, Vishal.
Good afternoon. Okay, it's a healthcare e-commerce company, SastaSundar.com. He's a seasoned entrepreneur with more than 20 years of experience in scaling businesses. Next, we have Chaitanya Kumar, the co-founder and strategic director of Industry Arc, a global market research and strategy consulting firm. He was previously with Arca, Qualcomm, and Global Data, among others. Welcome, Chaitanya.
Thanks, Vishal. It's a pleasure being here on this panel today.
Thank you. Joining them is Umesh Uttam Chandani, co-founder DevX, a co-working space and startup community. He focuses on strengthening strategic partnerships and curates technology startups and SMEs for its accelerator program. That is very interesting. Hi, Umesh.
Hi, Vishal bhai. Very good afternoon. Thank you for inviting us here.
No, thank you for being here too. And then we have Sandeep Chetri with us today. He is the COO at Trade India, one of the country's largest B2B marketplaces. At Trade India, Sandeep oversees operational functions and streamlining of product design and strategy, among others. Hi, Sandeep.
Thanks, Vishal. Thanks for the invite. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. Mangesh is joining us today. Mangesh Pandit Rao, the co-founder and CEO of Shoptimize, is here with us today. He is focused on taking traditional offline brands online, which is a very big thing in India today. We are going to hear more from him about how brands are doing it. We also have Siddharth Madhusudan. He's an angel investor with deep interest in business technology for SMBs and has over 15 years of leadership experience. He's a hands-on mentor, and he's currently mentoring and developing corporate strategy for ShoppingPal. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. How are you?
Great.
Doing good. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you all. I want to go and get to the brass tacks. Okay, very difficult times for MSMEs. Every day I meet at least 3 or 4 of them, and all of them talk about one thing. It's been the worst time for the last 12 years. Some of them say it's been worse than the 2009-10 problems that happened to the global economy. So let's set the stage for the real deal on the macros. Okay, as the economy stages a recovery, how did the sector deal with this blow, and what factors are helping bring the sector back on its feet? Umesh, you want to go for it first, and then Ravi, you can take it. And I'll bring everybody in. Please, I'd like everybody's thought on this view on how the recovery is going to happen. Umesh, go on.
Sure, Vishal bhai. So I think an interesting pointer to start off with. Lockdown probably impacted a lot on MSMEs. I mean, we all are well versed with the fact that as a country, MSMEs are the backbone on which the economy thrives. I mean, if I talk of numbers, they are practically contributing 30 to 35% of the GDP. Now, how does an industry which is already lacking capital infusion does not operate for 2 months or 3 months of time frame? Obviously, they were on the verge of kind of going down the books, closing down the accounts. So all those challenges that were faced by them. But I think they picked up quite well. Certain of the factors which are helping them to kind of come back on their feet are the decisions or the policies that were framed in 2016 and 17. The Digital India dream that we as a country and our honorable Prime Minister is taking, obviously that has showcased results nowadays. As Devik, since we have the liberty and the first access to kind of host all these organizations at our premises, we get the first right to understand or first access to understand from the founders as to how their books are performing, whatever the revenue is hitting it. So the ICT infrastructure, which wasn't there practically, that has evolved a lot post lockdown. The founders, their team members have kind of started adopting the digital initiatives which they weren't earlier. I'm pretty sure the other people in the panel, like Mangesh bhai, Sandeep bhai, would be a testimony to that fact. But I think prominently digital infrastructure has helped them a lot. And secondly, a small infusion of working capital support by the central government with a small corpus of 10,000 CR towards MSMEs for working capital. I think that has helped them a lot. So I think these are the 2 prominent factors which is helping them to come back on their feet.
Okay, I request Ravi and Siddharth to go on mute because there's an echo. Just be on mute for a couple of seconds. I want to bring in Chaitanya here. Chaitanya, your company does market research and strategy consulting.
Yeah.
Based on whatever Umesh told us, even the budget was very nice. They announced what 1,700 or 800 crores or 1,500 crore plus for MSMEs and a rupees 50,000 crore R&D fund too, right?
Correct.
That means the government wants economic recovery to happen faster from MSMEs, right? And what they contribute to 30% of our GDP today. And so,
Yeah,
how do you see the economic recovery happen with MSMEs?
So, so yes, the budget was really good. I think, especially they have increased double the budget this year to 15,000 to 16,000 crores. Apart from the R&D budgets and the PLI scheme, production linked incentive schemes. So all of these, I think, cumulatively will contribute a lot. Apart from other the host of incentives, Skill India programs and
Yeah.
other kinds of bank supported schemes are there. So this is all trying to provide stimulus to the MSME sector and going beyond stimulus so that they can, Mr. Nitin Gadkari has told that, it has to increase from 30% GDP to 40% GDP, and exports have to increase from currently around 50% to 60% to 70%. So, and this is all again in relation to the grand scheme of, reaching $5 trillion in GDP by 2024 or
That's true.
25. So yes, MSME, if we cannot take care of them, I don't think that's definitely possible. But yeah, the budget has been really helpful. But apart from that, what factors are contributing to growth? Essentially from a market consulting background, if I have to speak, every market it has supply and demand, right? You know, Supply is one thing. When you have incentives and you're providing a lot of support to the industry by reducing the tax rates or dividend rates and all that,
Absolutely.
the supply can increase. Okay, but demand is something which is not in our hands because in an international globalized scenario, if you talk about other markets like the US, UK, which are all still currently under recession and the markets are still damned, I think it's going to take still at least another 6 months to 1 year of time for the markets to rationalize and come truly back on track. But
Right.
that is but this is still a good timeline, a time period for the MSMEs to reorganize their entire infrastructure or make them more digital, make them
Okay.
the trade financing schemes and all that, get them online. So I think probably they can focus on that. But true growth, I think maybe will come out in another 2 to 3 quarters of time.
Okay.
Although, as per statistics, the exports have increased year on year 5% in January 2021 compared to Jan Feb 2020. So I think it's back on track. And the supply
You know.
side at least is being taken care of. Hopefully, the demand side, at least specifically from the export side, export oriented units, will come on track soon enough.
Okay, I want to bring in the trade guys, Mangesh. I want to bring in Mangesh and Sandeep. Based on whatever Chaitanya has said, right? This is interesting. We have no control over the demand.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was looking at the salary growth. It's not been very commensurate with whatever is happening in the economy, right? Obviously, the first thing that goes down are the salaries and the hiring, right? Based on that, what will happen to the demand? Because MSMEs also depend on the demand that happens in the end. So I
Right.
want your thoughts, Mangesh, because you work with a lot of offline brands. And Sandeep, you could add in from the trade perspective what's happening. And after that, I'm going to move into the healthcare and the corporate strategy for SMEs. Go on, Mangesh.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Vishal. So I think very interesting point that, demand is something that is not in our control, and until that picks up, a lot of these numbers will not. What we at least saw during the last year or so is that demand patterns changed. I don't think it
Okay.
completely vanished, and a lot of different kinds of products took up. So we saw a lot of healthcare, people taking a lot of supplements. We saw people buying a lot of gourmet food,
Yes.
cooking at home. So it didn't necessarily shrink, but I mean, of course, overall it has shrunk, but it also moved to different sectors. And the ability to take benefit of that was with brands that had, already invested and built digital channels. And a lot of our customers were able to do that. I mean, a lot of very interesting examples of how a product that used to never move. For
Correct.
example, one of our customers ran out of vanilla essence for the first time in the last 5 years because of all the home baking, right? So there was demand, for different things. One of our customers doesn't have enough bicycles to sell. Everybody wants to, get fit and all of that.
Right.
So there, these things happened, and brands that had invested digitally in their digital presence were able to leverage that.
Sandeep, bring in your thoughts on generating demand, because that is very important. No matter how many announcements we make, what will kickstart demand in this country?
So, Prashant, to add to what Mangesh said, said, today if you see and how MSME were able to sustain, I'll just give you some stats
Please.
of our platform.
Yeah, context would be better, please.
Yeah. So today, if I compare, the demand growth on the platform, so we get around, there was a 40% growth in compared to last year, 40%. So that shows that the consumer behavior has changed. So what the consumer behavior has changed is from the demand has gone from offline to online. So people are buying things online. So when these SMEs, then the SMEs are buying online, means they are now connected to any supplier, everywhere, within not only India, but globally I'm talking about. They are trying to supply globally. When it comes to a marketplace like us, because it's access to global audience, okay? So try to use digital as a platform to extend the demand, increase the demand first. Okay. One very interesting numbers I'd like to say in terms of FMCG category, when, Mangesh talk about government products and all. So we have seen an increase in 70% by requirements on the platform in FMCG category. So this shows the consumption happening, okay? The consumption happening in terms of the customers who wants to buy product online, plus also the consumption happening from the consumer side, because these are all B2B, transaction which is happening. So B2B, when it has B2B transactions happening, it goes back to the end consumers, right?
Yes.
Okay? So the demand has really increased, but this also shows the adoption of people coming online and using digital ways and modes to do the business online. They are not relying today. So now a shop doesn't become a front line, first line of business. The digital presence has become a first line of business now. Okay, they understood that this is how important it is. Why? Because there are two ways to it. Because you are able to reach customers easily, okay, and faster through the digital medium. And one very interesting trend which we have seen is, in this, especially in the pandemic time, is that remote towns and small cities, the adoption has drastically increased, and they are, I believe, is the torch barriers for the digitization in the Indian digital economy, and they will play a big role in pushing this economy and wake up this recovery which India is looking at. So that is what we can see in our platform.
Okay, Ravi, I want to bring you in because you handle medicines, prescription medicines, delivery. You might have worked with who's who of the pharma industry, right? And most of these pharma companies are also SMBs. So from that perspective, do you see a recovery? And you could bring in thoughts about the pandemic as well and how your industry reacted to it.
Yeah, so basically, see, being in the healthcare, I think that pandemic has given us an opportunity basically to serve the entire society during the lockdown phase, actually. And in fact, we were prepared when the lockdown was announced in the month of March. We are dealing with close to, you can say that, the 1,600 pharma companies at present, and close to 35% of business comes from the semi-urban and rural areas, actually.
Okay.
There is no other facilities, or you can say that the healthcare centers basically take care of the healthcare needs. So it was very pertinent or important for us to be active during that phase of the time. And as Sandeep said, basically, we have also seen a great, you can say that, the participation or increase in the participation from the people actually living in the semi-urban and the rural areas. And I see basically digital technology is something actually that can really help the SME segment actually, and where the companies like us can play a very important role. So we were sensing the kind of, you can say that, expert in the demand of certain pharmaceuticals basically during the month of starting of the March actually, and we have started buying this kind of, you can say that, the medicines from the pharma companies, and that helped them as well actually in stopping the product at their end as well. So pandemic as such, basically, you can say that on the healthcare side, we have taken one more initiative of bringing not only the pharma companies actually, but as well as the companies on the MSME segment. Basically, they are working on the wellness or COVID related essentials product. Actually, we have framed a specific team and brought many companies like that who are working on the health supplements or some kind of, you can say, the wellness products or making the face mask and all these kind of products actually. And we have seen a response coming from that side. So I think this has given the opportunities to many MSMEs basically to adopt to the new normal actually and implement their digital technology strategies. And I am of the view that COVID may proven to be the required catalyst for the MSME transformation, and we see a very positive impact of the COVID in MSME segment as such in the coming future.
Okay, Siddharth, would you agree with that? Because you're in corporate strategy, should demand completely go online because India is still 95% offline? How would you suggest an SME to go about, understanding the demand at that point of time and then aligning their supply chain to all this? Because, when you talk about MSMEs, it's not just one sector. I hope the audience understands it's beyond FMCG also. So, I would like your please.
Sure. So I think it's a very, very valid point. And one of the core themes coming out from this discussion is everybody's talking about digital transformation.
Correct.
So needless to say, that has to be an integral part of every MSME strategy. People are doing firefighting now because, this is a black swan event and they had not planned for this to happen. One must keep in mind, like as you mentioned, MSME is much more than just FMCG and so on. We have around 63 million MSMEs, and we have 110 million individuals employed. Yeah, so
1% companies. Yeah,
across these companies. So you're talking about the not just an economic catastrophe, but a potential human disaster. At a very human level. So in order to basically deal with this, there are a couple of pivots which are necessary. The first pivot is in the nature of goods and services sold. Yeah, which no one has touched upon yet. Nature of goods and services sold by MSMEs and provided has shifted now from non-essential to essential commodities more. When you talk about the brick and mortar stores, now after the lockdown has eased and home delivery is possible, when it comes to luxury items, there is a greater trend towards purchase of luxury items. Via e-commerce. So there is no definitive strategy, but there are certain tenets which need to be incorporated. Yeah, one of the most important ones is when you talk about supply chain integration and stuff like that. We need to basically integrate all the systems of the MSME. Currently, we are in a disintegrated situation where the systems are in silos. I'll just give you a couple of quick examples. One is the point of sale system. Yeah. So a point of sale system could be a physical point of sale, as in I swipe my card or give you cash, or it could be an e-commerce point of sale. Yeah. Now both of these systems they are not integrated with other core systems. They are in silos. So what that means is data does not flow from the point of sale into accounting, into ERP, into customer loyalty software. And this is a very fractured market in terms of point of sale. There are hundreds of different points of sales. NCR and Micros are quite popular in India. Yeah. If you talk about accounting software, you have Tally, which is a old ancient software. Yeah, and you don't have the data flowing. First of all, let's take one step back. Out of these 63 million SMEs, it's very easy for us to sit here and talk about digital transformation, but most of them don't even have a website. Yeah. So
I agree. I heard in 2017 was only 1 million SMEs have proper running websites.
Absolutely. There you go. I mean, like, so that's around 1.5%. So, so in fact, along with ShoppingPal, we've been helping SMEs and as they say, SMBs in the US as well, US, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand, to basically do two things. One is we provide full advisory services. If you don't have a website, we'll start from scratch and build the website for you. We'll help you go onto the cloud, which is necessary for you to cut your cost and hoard your cash. And we'll most importantly integrate your systems. Integration has two benefits besides the obvious speed, time, cost benefits. It also has the benefit of less need for manual intervention, which makes it safer. So basically, super spreading events and so on are less because you can right size your workforce. Yeah. So overall, this is a strategy. You need to go into advisory services where someone needs to handhold the SME, and that is an effort which ShoppingPal is doing. And in addition, you also need to integrate all the systems because transformation is a rather vague word to use. Yeah, so I would crystallize it as in the need of the hour is integration.
Okay,
and
okay.
automation.
Anybody wants to add to his point or counter that point? Because it's interesting. He said we need advisory, we need to participate with these guys. We cannot just give them solutions and go away. It's very important, like Siddharth said, that somebody handhold them for 2-3 years. Go on, Ravi. Ravi, go on.
Yeah, so I think I completely in sync with the Siddharth actually, because if you look at the number of the MSMEs, basically we have 6.33 crores of MSME actually in India. Out of that, 99% actually 6.3 crore of MSMEs are basically belonging to the your micro kind of, you can say that,
Yeah, okay.
setup actually. And in fact, the people would not have the GST, forget about the digitization actually. They would not be having any kind of, because of the formal transaction that's happening. So the thing is basically, I also think basically it needs a very coordinated and collaborated efforts from all the stakeholders actually on the MSME side. And the need is basically to have the professionals like Siddharth talked about the company. So these kind of companies coming into the foray actually and bringing all these MSME segment into that ecosystem or the platform and helping them basically to achieving this objective. And that's also needs to be incentivized actually, because bringing all these population is not a small task. It's a mammoth actually to manage. So it requires a kind of incentivization for these people as well. So coordinated and collaborative efforts would be required on that side. But this is, I think, see, digital transformation is not an option or not a choice right now actually. It's necessity basically. It's something that is required for the survival of the MSME, actually, and we can't ignore that as a country.
Okay,
and, see, in India right now we are talking about 30% of the contribution coming from the MSME side actually, compared to in Germany it is close to 55%, and in China it is close to 60%. So that kind of efforts needs to be taken.
I only hope that family offices, SMEs which have more than 10 crores of revenue are watching this, simply because a platform-led approach is important for you guys. You know, I hope Chaitanya, Umesh, Mangesh, you know, and Sandeep, do you agree with that? A platform kind of approach is necessary. Chaitanya, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, see, when you say that assistance or handholding or private institutions or platforms to come into picture, I mean, before that, I think there is already a base foundation set up by the government themselves.
Okay.
It's not like, you know, the government does not have schemes or enough kind of programs. The problem is mostly we will only hear, even in the budget or even in general discussions, only about the capital incentives or capital assistance, stuff like that. But you'll be surprised to know that, you know, the government also has other, you know, schemes like, you know, technology and quality upgradation, competitiveness programs, entrepreneurial and managerial development of SMEs through incubators, wherein each incubator who sets up, they'll be getting an essence of 66 lakhs.
Correct.
There is a support for IPR and all that. But these are, again, firstly, they're half-baked kind of thing, wherein it does not actually address the root problem, and they are not really, you know, going to the end users, you know, the SMEs or MSMEs. That is probably a problem of PR or marketing, and the government can do a lot more, wherein even the politicians or everybody just harp on this many crores are being submitted. But apart from that, you know, definitely there is a need for, you know, making a good brand, having a website, marketing, how to reach out to your customers, how to reach out beyond your core markets. Maybe if you're exporting to New Zealand, can you go to Australia? Are there any other people maybe in the UK or, you know, somewhere in remote place like Kent or Scotland or Ireland? Maybe there is a customer for you, but how will you go? How will you find that out? So a person themselves, they cannot do that. If a company like us is there, we do that market research and we can do the advice and all that. But if I have to do it for a million or 100 million kind of thing, that is simply not possible for me. But a government can definitely do that, either by themselves or by supporting us or by constructing a kind of, you know, database. So
a platform, nice.
Yeah, a platform basically. So I don't think private companies themselves can do it, because it's such a huge thing. Maybe I could have done that in another country, maybe even US also.
In US,
in
you can,
India, in India, we cannot do that. Even if we talk about even the online transactions increasing or FMCG increasing, that is a minuscule percentage, you know, like maybe less than 5%. The FMCG trade itself is in India is close to $1 trillion or $1.2 trillion you know, annually. Most of it happens in an organized kind of, you know, situation. So we cannot take an increase in online transactions or e-commerce sales as any kind of benchmark or leading factor for, you know, growth in demand, for example, you know, with all due respect. Unless and until I think they have reached a particular benchmark. For example, when I say Amazon last quarter did 125
Yeah.
billion in sales.
Correct.
Now those guys I can definitely consider as a benchmark, or because
Yeah,
e-commerce
that's
is
something we
90%
can learn
of the
from them.
But in India, we cannot do that. We cannot take them as any kind of leading factors. The growth, the actual
Not an
thing of the,
indicator.
yeah. So platforms are definitely important. I completely agree with that. But I think the government has to do more. It's not just launching a scheme. There are no targets for that. They
Oh, yeah.
allocate 100 crores.
That's
What are the targets for that in next 3 years or 5 years time? What are you hoping to achieve? If it is about IPR rights, it's hilarious if you go to the government website and see wherein there where the scheme basically sponsors 1 lakh to 2.5 lakhs per awareness study, wherein
Okay.
the government, persons or the officials basically they conduct some awareness drives and all that. That's it. The actual target has to be like patent filing, quantitatively and qualitatively
IPR,
tracking
yeah.
them in the targets, right? That is not there. So the heart is in the right place, but actually the goal is not being achieved. Probably the government can do much more beyond that. It's not just about the money. You need much more people, maybe from eminent personalities in the society, maybe the startup guys also.
Yeah.
At this point of time, I think I wanted to bring one point. Even before the call also, I think there's a lot to learn from the startup way of life and things, and that to be applied to MSMEs. In a way, I don't see
Absolutely.
any difference. Those guys are products, services they're selling, and startups do that.
Same thing.
And with the revision of the scale of 2 crores to 20 crores turnover and all that, what is a small and medium enterprise kind of thing, I think a lot of lessons can be applied from startups to this thing. I don't see a reason why financing and marketing and sales and or for example you have an NPS score. Net promoter scores is something which is a gold standard for startups. I don't see a reason why that cannot apply to MSMEs, wherein
MSMEs.
they can do this, wherein they can take it, wherein the government or themselves can take credit, the scores from their customers in Australia, New Zealand, Africa, anywhere.
You set
The
a
best
brilliant
practices, please.
context, Chaitanya. You've
Yeah,
set a
the best
brilliant
practices.
context.
The best practices can be taken from startups, and so on. We can also learn from MSMEs, right?
Okay.
Another example which I wanted to put forth was what about ESOPs? ESOPs
Okay.
is something which is we do something which is very common for startups. The same thing can be applied even for MSMEs because they have a longer time. Those guys work for longer time, like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, right? From tier to tier 3 cities. It actually makes more sense for them to be a part of the company because
that's a fantastic topic by itself, because that's something I'll do another panel on. ESOPs in MSMEs is a key topic that I really enjoy. Sandeep, you wanted to say something. You raised your hand. Mangesh, Umesh, you should add to this. Chaitanya is absolutely right. We have the best talent in the world. The government is bringing out numbers in terms of the budget allocations. Why isn't India getting together and forming a platform? We have the UPI, which has done so well. If the UPI can do well, we can have something like that for the MSME sector. Sandeep, over to you. Mangesh, Umesh, I'd like your thoughts also after Sandeep, please.
I totally agree with what Siddharth and Chaitanya have been saying. Of course, we need a platform, but more than platform is the education which has to go in. Government, they come with the policies. They announce the policies, but is this policies reaching out to the end customer? That is what is important. And we talk about digital India, okay, and just give an example, we in Trade India, so we have 5.7 million SMEs, and 5.7 million SMEs, like everybody have been talking about 63 million SMEs in India, okay. We as a platform, we're able to onboard and make 5.7 million SMEs digital, right, in India, okay. So, and we know the kind of pain we had, where in this journey of, onboarding this 5.7 million SMEs, the education, which was important, the belief that online will work, okay. But with this, there has to be some incentive to these SMEs to go digital. That is very, very critical. Of course, I'd like to say that, the intent of the government is very clear. The intent is good, okay. But the intent to convert in the realistic approach is important. Like goal set is very, very important. And we have been working. So we have been working very closely with government now, okay, to doing some knowledge sharing with the SMEs that how digital is important. But with digital, there's one very important aspect which, I'd like to talk about, like to touch upon is the credit side of the business. Okay, the working capital loan which is required, finance part of it, right? Because SMEs, they worked hand to mouth, okay, hand to mouth kind of revenue which they have, and if they don't have that working capital in place, and this pandemic, they have been badly hit because of this working, the finance challenges which they have. So we need to look at how we can, have that strong credit facility in place. When you talk about technology, what are the things, lending solutions are doing, what are the banks are doing, we need to look into
Yeah.
that as we were just talking about demand aspect of it, but that is more critical for the SMEs today, because if you don't have working
I
capital
agree.
and liquidity in place, at no point they can grow their business. That is the biggest challenge right now for this. It's not the demand, it is the working capital
Availability
which is the
capital.
biggest challenge. Yeah.
And I like what Chaitanya said. I think you can link credit scores, you can link NPS scores, you can make them bankable. I'd like Umesh and Mangesh to take.
Yeah.
Mangesh, your thoughts, and Umesh, please, on the companies that you're working with, maybe take the credit side, the financing side, and you could talk to us about why MSMEs need this kind of platform-led approach. I'll also give you guys an example also after a while. But over to you, Mangesh, over to you, Umesh.
Yeah. So we speak to a lot of MSMEs, and we speak to a lot of startups as well, on their journey towards digitization. And the one
Yes.
difference that we find, and we're speaking more and more, how can MSMEs be like startups, is the hunger for growth. I think MSMEs are more focused on near-term profits and making sure that they can make it from quarter to quarter, whereas startups
Correct.
are thinking slightly longer term. And that shows in the way they invest on the digital side as well. We hear MSME saying that they're building websites in 5,000 and 10,000 rupees. Of course, you build a website, but there's an entire business that needs to run behind it, right? The goal is always cost reduction and keeping it as low as possible. Whereas startups know that if they put in X today, they'll get 3X, a year later. I think that's the primary difference. Even I think a very interesting point that Sandeep brought up about credit and getting access to credit and working capital. Very often this capital, a startup would invest in things like digital expansion and capabilities, whereas an MSME is more likely to invest in inventory, in real estate, things like that, right? So rent and stuff like that. So I think that is changing, but I think once MSMEs start thinking slightly longer term and making those calls, we would see them investing more as well in this space.
Okay, Umesh, thoughts from you? You work with a lot of people, a lot of startups, a lot of MSMEs. So I'd love to know, what about the credit side? What about the platform approach that you advised your clients on?
So I think what you said at the start of the call, I mean, a topic which needs the complete day has to be covered in 1 hour.
Very
So
difficult.
multiple facets here, right? First is the platform, wherein Chaitanya Bhai was of an opinion that government should come on ground, provide platforms. Wherein I am of a belief that as a government, their role and responsibility lies in which they're heading into is to get into compliance, get into regulations, ensure and empower organizations who can transform those platforms and support the MSMEs to grow. I mean, ventures like India, Shoptimize, already doing that, right? I mean, they're empowering the MSMEs and startups to scale up, go digital, and make sales globally. The recent platform by Amazon, which empowers MSMEs to sell globally. I think that is a good initiative to empower our local products to sell in the international market. So platforms should come from the private players, but the empowerment or the support should be coming from the government. Regulatory support, financial support should be coming from the government part, wherein these platforms can help the end users, which are the SMEs, MSMEs, and startups, to help them excel. One such example, if as you were saying, so we host good number of 28 to 30 MSMEs and startups in the multiple cities that we are present into.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID, they weren't very digitally savvy as such. I mean, speaking of MSMEs specifically, startups, as Mangesh Bhai said, are very open-minded, tech savvy. But with MSMEs, they were not prone to adopt anything which was digital. Post this, what they have started adopting is the D2C space. They started they started realizing the fact that the market can be way larger. An organization which was probably hitting a revenue of 10 CR annually is now doing an MRR of like 2.5 CR just at the start of going live. And on the same pulse, like we are starting a D2C accelerator program just to support those initiatives. So idea here is that the government should be focusing on running their business, which is regulatory and monetary aspects. The platform should be coming from the private players, and that's how the structure should come into picture. The second aspect was on the funding lines. Again, there are multiple aspects. The thought process of you having a single session on ESOPs for MSMEs, I mean, that could be a brilliant one.
I'm going to follow up with that. Yes.
Yes. I mean, in the similar lines, what the BSE has done for startup and exchange platform, Similar thing can be done for MSMEs as well. A funding exchange platform wherein MSMEs which are reaching to an next level can be listed and they have wider access to funds, not only nationally, but even globally. Since now India is opening up, adopting and receiving funds globally because of the wider subsidies and grants that have been provided in the Western countries, I think more quantum of FIIs can be drawn towards MSMEs and startups, which would ultimately help them excel. So funding exchange platform and ESOPs for MSMEs could be something that could be pushed for or vouched for and into that direction.
So Chetan, you wanted to say something in between, right? You're on mute though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just saying, when I say platform, it's not just from a government. I mean, I'm not trying to discount the contribution. I already mentioned, it has to be both government and private.
Yes.
What I was trying to convey was something similar to, for example, the startupindia.gov portal, right?
Yeah.
Something of similar nature where you can put msmindia.gov and
Right.
you can put vetted companies or
open APIs,
or
APIs connect
yeah,
many
and
people
an exchange
coming.
platform where at least companies offering different things. Somebody may be
Yes.
helping in building websites, someone can do digital marketing, someone
I
can
get
do
what you mean.
trade financing.
Yeah.
All of that, it can be like an exchange, and the government will have to push this platform or this thing among
I can already see a
MSMEs
platform here, Chaitanya. I can see Umesh offering co-working. I can see Mangesh offering websites and digitization. I see
Correct.
Trade India offering trade advice. I see Siddharth offering corporate mentoring. I see Ravi offering SME Connect from pharma and everything, right? I mean, these are things that you want, right? This is what you're alluring to. Let them open up a platform for that.
And not just leave it like that, wherein one thing
That's
was
important.
wherein the government can actually mandate that an MSME or something has to give them a checklist. You need to have a website, you need to have this 1 2 3 4 5 10 and link it to their particular credit guarantee kind of thing also.
Correct.
Irrespective of whatever you're doing, you just mandate it automatically in just a couple of weeks or a month's time. Everybody is going to do that.
Okay.
That actually creates a tremendous opportunity for even startups and private companies also to because they have to contribute to the services, and it's good, right? And Alibaba has 1 million or 10 million or 100 million kind of sellers on the platform. Everybody knows that half of them is kind of sketchy and kind of companies, but still those guys are really doing billions and billions of revenues, and it's percolating down to someone in some village in Shenzhen or that kind of thing, right? A similar thing can be done. I'm not expecting an Alibaba to come and do the same thing.
I agree. We can do a Bharat stack here. I agree with. We can have a hybrid here.
Yeah, we can do something. So that is ultimately a government thing, because no single company, a private player cannot do it. It has to be done in coordination. That's all I was trying to say.
No, it's well said.
We don't want government to interfere in everything, and start doing things. We don't want that. But yeah,
that's why this government says less government, more governance. So I hope that really comes by. And then, okay, I'll give you an example, guys, because I want to talk about trade and Forex, which is very important, and you guys can bring in your experience. Okay. I met an electric vehicle company. That went and borrowed from a bank on a dollar term without realizing that the dollar value is going to go up. So he borrowed at 50 lakhs at a floating rate. And before you know it, it had gone up to 75 lakhs to 80 lakhs, right? And he was in massive trouble. So he had to leverage himself again to pay back that margin. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at trade and Forex, why are MSMEs not thinking about it? And now to Chaitanya's point, right? Why can't we have a platform that understands that guy's risk, advise him better, rather than just say, okay, this boy is coming to the bank for a trade loan. Let me give it to him in Forex terms, and get him into trouble later on. It's unfortunate for a young startup. You're talking about $100,000 being lost in money raised just because of Forex problems. Siddharth, I know you were raising your hand. You can talk about it.
Yeah, it is criminal, Vishal. Sorry, I mean it's criminal. Forex hedging is something has to be known by everyone, especially export-oriented units and export-oriented.
I feel sad that was a very
they don't know
beautiful
that. I think the liability has to be put on the banks themselves who are financing this and not intimating them. I mean, if I can have a relationship manager who can advise me and they keep pushing me on that, definitely an MSME does more turnover than any other startup, right? So I think definitely they can have relationship managers advising that, okay, there is a risk here. You need to hedge your Forex, and it's going to help you in the short term as well in the long term.
Guys,
criminal if they don't do that.
Watching this, right? If you're ever into exporting or importing, please get advisors on your board for Forex, because you can really mess up And Siddharth, you wanted to say something. We lost you there for a second. Quickly on this trade and forex issue, and others can add too.
Right. So, quick point here. You can consider it a counter of sorts because,
Please.
we are talking about creating a platform which is quite ambitious. At a discussion level, it sounds good. I struggle to visualize it happening at the field level unless it is incentivized or the
Absolutely.
lack of it is incentivized. Because visualize, at one end of the spectrum, my local kirana store, which is fairly large, but they have not adopted any technology despite whatever happened. They've absorbed the losses. And at the other spectrum, end of the spectrum, manufacturing companies, small manufacturer, 20 people company, he has refused to accept any help from me, politely deferred, saying, we'll look into it. Now it's a question of survival. So the government will need to push some kind of incentivization. People have had too much of pain already, so you can't really use a stick. But you need to have a strong carrot to get these companies right across the spectrum to adopt the tools and measures. So
Okay.
maybe some kind of tax rebate,
fine.
GST. Yeah.
Okay. What's your thoughts on trade and forex? Who wants to take the trade and forex question? Because that is very important to me, please. Umesh, go on. Umesh, Chaitanya, you had thoughts on the trade forex issue. Go on, Umesh.
We have been focusing on something which is export pertaining to goods. I think there's a larger chunk of service export also happening. So I'll touch on both the aspects. So on the service aspect, which was predominantly the early adopters of exporting in the country, and obviously mushrooming as well, that has picked up a lot of late. I mean, the adoption of outsourcing business, which obviously India was considered to be the prime receiver, kind of increased a lot because the Europe and the US market, which has started receiving higher funds, have now outsourcing their or setting up their offshore development centers in India. So that quantum of export has increased. But the limitation still lies in the fact that they are still unaware of the forex reserves. I mean, how do I capitalize on the fluctuations which are happening in the US terms or Euro terms? But the products are still, I mean, as Chaitanya ji said, we have to analyze the bankers who are providing such products. There are startups which are coming and mushrooming up in this space. Bankers have evolved with a product wherein they started opening up trade forex accounts sitting in India, wherein they receive the dollar currency or euro currency or any other currency that they are receiving the funds or revenue in. It stays in that form only, and as and when they intend to convert it at their price point, gets converted. That's one of the good features that there's, and obviously there's a credit attached to that revenues as well, which is seamlessly integrated. And the same lies with the goods part as well. That has increased of late because the dependency on one country of whatsoever has happened in the last 1 year, that is reduced down. Considering that other APEC countries have started kind of getting that benefits. The exports from Vietnam, the exports from India has kind of started picking up of late, because obviously the schemes are more heading into a direction like PLI incentive schemes, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Those schemes kind of are now getting adopted by the second generation entrepreneurs who are well versed as to how they converse and have a communication with the global world. So that kind of has increased, and since the demand part or adoption part has increased, the bankers, the startups which have these products on the forex reserves, they are now offering which are more likely towards in support of these organizations.
Okay, Chaitanya, quickly, Ravi, I want your thoughts on this too, because I mean, financing is very important for MSMEs, more so trade and forex. Chaitanya, go on. I like the fact that you have to understand that bankers should be held accountable, because startups don't understand this. They may gullibly go and take these kind of terms and conditions, right? Please, over to you, Chaitanya.
So I'm not trying to put criminality on them. I'm just saying that it is criminal that they don't tell that, and they are not aware of it. startups
Well
should
said.
be like, at least they should be dumb enough, at least they should be knowing more, right? You understand ESOPs and, you understand VC financing, then you should definitely understand
Oh, come on.
about,
That's another subject. They don't
funding. Yeah.
understand ESOPs. We'll get into that separately. But you're right.
Okay.
On that note, bankers providing a service, please advise
So-
SMEs better on Forex, right?
Yes,
Go
they
on.
should advise it better. And see, I think, the problem actually comes back to this thing, the dissemination of information part, which we discussed earlier in this particular call itself.
Yes.
The dissemination of information, I don't think, the MSME industry or the ministry itself is alone capable of, catering to 100 million plus kind of, people. Maybe 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, that's it. I think the scope is way beyond and it's just stretched too much. You need to have, I think, separate ministries for each and every kind of thing. Just like you have a textiles ministry or maybe you kind of thing. Every single one can have it. There's no, shortage of ministers in this world. You can actually hire them, or you can maybe put in deputy, IAS and IPS or officers also in this particular thing. You can have a toys ministry. You can have a particular, carpets and that kind of goods kind of thing. So you can combine them into 100 or 150 different things and make someone responsible of managing this smaller 5 million, 1 to 5 million kind of this thing. Why I'm saying that? Because then they can actually prepare and communicate continuously on trade financing, foreign exchange, marketing, and reaching out to customers. Another part is which the government does is marketing assistance schemes, wherein you go out and go to trade shows and exhibitions and seminars and all that and do that. That can also be better managed. I myself had a really bad kind of experience 4 years back when we went to Germany for a trade event in Germany, wherein there are like obviously thousands and thousands of companies across the world coming and exhibiting their software, products, services, everything. The Indian pavilion was really barren and it was really sad. We needed support, for example, in setting up basic chairs and internet and some banners and things like that. It's not like the organizers were not helpful, but we needed some mid-channel kind of thing wherein we can access it and maybe get some additional support. The person responsible, the Spock, was actually missing at that point of time on day one. So, and it was completely barren, and we were given like the cornermost kind of thing in the entire exhibition hall where nobody visits. It's just beside the door or towards the toilets kind of thing. I'm not trying to demonize things, but that's the thing. There has to be some kind of tracking mechanisms, and that can only be done if you have specific IAS, IPS guys or some kind of ministries specific to these things. Services के लिए अलग चाहिए, इसके लिए अलग चाहिए, इसके लिए अलग चाहिए. सबके लिए मतलब एक MSME sector का ministry मतलब it will not happen, right? So that's what I can say, because whatever we say, you can trade financing, foreign exchange kind of thing, somebody has to track it, right? Somebody has to ensure that things are percolating down and doing that. I don't think one person or one ministry can do it. You have to have bifurcation. Have a toys ministry, have an electric vehicles ministry, have an automotive, tier 1, tier 2 components.
I think it's time to change. I get what you're saying. Sandeep, your thoughts. Ravi bhai, first with you. In terms of financing trade Forex, how are your industry participants looking at it? And the credibility in terms of financing, should it change? There should be more of a data-led approach to this.
So basically, on the trade finance side, I think there is no as such issues basically on the MSME segment actually who are aware of about the things. As we were discussing about you can say that the foreign exchange loan and all these part, actually, I don't think the banks have any kind of incentives to give the foreign currency loan. Actually, they are not earning much amount of money or much amount of margins actually by giving the foreign currency loan. It is basically depending upon the MSME or the sector, basically the person actually, whether they would like to opt for an open kind of coverage or a short-term kind of loan. And the same can be managed very well actually if there can be one, you can say that the extra rider, that if somebody is going for a foreign currency loan, actually as you talked about the EV company actually who opted for loan. So that can be given only for a very short-term period actually, maybe a couple of days or something like that. And if they would like to keep it open actually, don't like to hedge it actually, or don't like to convert into the rupee, so then their separate rider can be taken actually for that. So if there would be a query coming from the bankers actually, like you would like to take the risk of keeping this loan open actually, because in the last 8 to 10 years, we have seen a one-side movement in the rupee and the dollar terms. So that is one. As far as we, or you can say that the other other players in the healthcare actually on this side actually. Most of the people are basically focused on the domestic, you can say that the trade. The export side is not there actually at all on that side.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Sandeep, go on. Sandeep and Mangesh, I want your thoughts on this too, because I think while you're doing the digitization piece, financing is also important. Sandeep, go on quickly.
So the most important aspect is to understand the export ecosystem in India. Okay, that is very, very important. So today, if you see, hardly there are 50 industrial hubs from where export is happening. Today. Okay, and of course, government have channelized. We have Export Promotion Council. We have FIGO. We have lots of handicraft. Export Promotion Council. There are so many councils which is there. Okay, but it has to be the work for the SMEs also. When they do talk about exports, they need to connect with this Export Promotion Council to understand what is being needed. Like Chaitanya talked about Germany, so we have been doing lots of fairs in Germany. We have been participating there, of course. So what is that required when you have to do business with different countries? It's actually there are different policies, different aspects to it in different countries, and of course when it comes to dollars and different currency aspect which is there. Okay, but of course I also like to praise here that there are so many fintech companies who are coming with some very innovative products. Okay,
Correct.
to come up with these solutions. I'll just give you an example of currency forward contract, which is there. Okay, to the example which you gave about, if that startup or company would not, knew about currency forward contract, then this problem couldn't have come, arise. But who will educate them? That is the first question. Who will educate them? It's the responsibility, of course, platform like us. I totally agree. Platform like Trade India or platform like, or the banks, all the banks who are closely working. End of the day, these are the consumers who are in connect with us. It's like, for example, if it's like Yes Bank, they have a current account here, they have a saving account here. So education should start from there. And of course, the government roles and responsibilities are very important here. That's what, I'd like to add.
That's wonderful. Mangesh, I think Nandan Nilekani and all of them are talking about data from from small businesses, right? They're trying to create a stack for that, right? This open account kind of thing. Then, banks can bid for the loans for MSMEs.
Yeah.
They're looking at that kind of a platform already.
Yeah.
Right. Would that solve the purpose? Because again, going back to Chaitanya, Umesh's, Siddharth's point, Ravi's point, where is the connection? Where is the linkage between the end objective or the end goal, right?
Yeah. So I think there are existing platforms today also which can give you, say invoice discounting and where you can put up and banks can bid, etc. I think the question is adoption and execution of these right now, right? And I don't think like a lot of the companies we work with even know and understand how they can effectively use this. On the digital front, what everybody needs to do is run ads. If you want to run ads on Google, Facebook, you need a credit card. And it's so hard for an MSME to get a credit card. I mean, I can get 3 times, 4 times the limit that I can get on a company level, right? Until I keep a fixed deposit and all of that. So I think there's somewhere a mindset needs to change that, this money is being used for growth. It's actually being, going to help fund jobs and expansion of MSMEs. I think that is a mindset required now.
Okay, Siddharth, I don't know if you're here with us. That brings us to the last question. We're already at 1 o'clock. And, like I said, so many points covered. I hope we're driving home the message to digitization is important, but digitization without proper linkages and support is just a tick box. We're really not going to change the economy. We're not really going to make MSMEs grow, but the efforts have been made. So my last question to each and every one of you is what advice would you people give to MSMEs when they're foraying into, exports or also going, pan India? I'd start with Siddharth because he's into corporate strategy. And after that, I'll pick out each of your individual views. Siddharth, please.
I think a very valid point was made there, pertinent to your example you gave. You need to think out very clearly what your forex strategy is and how are you going to hedge your risks, because you see the whole global environment is so volatile that hedging will become a very, very important thing for people to do. And in terms of that, I think that is something which is in my opinion as important as digital transformation. Yeah, because ultimately businesses are cash starved. So we need to put cash at the center, at the heart of every thought process and every strategy. how to push working capital in,
Correct.
and basically when you're talking about exports, yeah, how do you want to meet exports? It's all good and fine, but then people cannot be making rookie mistakes because of lack of advice. Yeah. So there needs to be a formal, system and mechanism for people to reach out to, and it needs to be publicized. Even till date, I don't see a single ad on TV, saying that, are you a small business owner? We are here to help. Yeah. You have schemes coming out and so on, but that the the permeation of information is just not happening. Yeah. So
Okay.
permeation of information and hedging are two very important things that we should help small.
Okay. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you for that. Sandeep, over to you. What do you think? What is the one single advice that you'd give to the MSMEs at this point of time?
So I'd like to put this word, they have to be digitally saksham. Okay, and in order to become digital saksham, I'd look at, these are the three aspects. Three aspects they should look at. So as a organization, or in the the top level thought process would be driving awareness on the benefits of digital commerce, because digital commerce is what it will take them forward. Building skills and capabilities of SMEs on various tools to help them in digital commerce and enable them with finance, payment, and all, the supply chain, everything. Yeah. And finally, accelerating the adoption of these digital tools. We are even talking about that. How to use this digital is very, very important. That is what we should, look at and make them digitally saksham. Yeah.
Okay. Well said. Ravi, over to you. Your thoughts.
Yeah. So my suggestion is basically one is get registered as MSME and avail the MSME benefits. Build a strong online presence. Expand your reach to the larger market. And very important is build a culture of data-driven business decisions in the organization.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. Umesh, what do you think?
I think one of the important advice would be that this is the right time to start if you're not there, or scale up and push for growth in the country. I mean, the next 5 years would witness something what you're not seen in the entire decade. So this is the right time to capitalize as an MSME and to scale up. Invest into consultants who are good with managing Forex, and invest into training your existing skill resources, make them more skillful towards adoption of digital technologies.
Chaitanya, over to you. You've been pretty vocal, and I like the fact that a lot of things need to be done. Your thoughts, something that they could be practical about this year, at least start for the past, forget the past, focus on the growth going forward. Your thoughts.
For an Indian MSME, like who wants to start, obviously apart from going for it, because it to each their own. But I think it depends upon whether you're a manufacturing MSME or a service kind of MSME. If you're a manufacturing MSME, first of all, I think anybody before they start, they need to take 6 months of time at least to research on the market. First of all, find out like in which state is most beneficial for you if you're going to manufacture, with regards to land, taxations, and getting approvals and all that, right? If, for example, in Telangana, we have a TPAS system wherein online itself we're getting a lot of approvals. So ease of business research has to be done. Just because you're born in some state does not mean that you have to set up business there. You need to find which is the best one for you, and you need to go there. Unfortunately, that is the situation, right? Second thing is, of course, find out what kind of things. If you're a manufacturing MSME, again, find out what does your customers need, be it in domestic market or international markets. Are there any kind of standards or certifications or quality inspections or things that to be done, and what would be the cost? Because you will typically only think about land and factory and building and all that. You need to go beyond that and find out what kind of certifications and registrations and these needs to be done. So at least 6 months time needs to be done. If you're good enough, you do it on your own, or you go for a consultant, as others were mentioning, and try to get all the data. You spend at least a couple of lakhs or 2-3 lakhs, because this amount will be saving you significant amount in the, later on, because if you are not aware of that and create a business plan, essentially what I'm suggesting is create a business plan. More important, a business plan is more important compared to a startup for an MSME, because a lot more is at stake for them. So they need definitely business plan, understand from a 360-degree point of view, and prepare a 5-year roadmap right from your production date to what should be target, what should be profitability ratios and margins and all that, and clearly go for that. Otherwise, just don't jump into it. For services kind of thing, at least I think it is much more easier, because the input and the capital cost or infrastructure cost will be way less. So I think it'll be fine wherever you start, whichever state you can start from. It does not matter. But yeah, still you need to do the research, find out
Okay.
who your customers are, competitors are, and things like that.
That's well said. I think you, Siddharth, Sandeep, Umesh, and Ravi made a valid point. Don't be a fool because you're in business. Get to read some more. Go talk to people. Don't do everything yourself. Ask for advice. Mangesh, your final closing thoughts, please.
Yeah, so just one piece of advice that something that people most other things have covered, but one thing on when it comes to digital, think long term. You don't be in a hurry and do something that is redundant 3 months down the line, and work closely with an ecosystem that can get you there. So think
Yeah.
long term is my only one piece of advice. Yeah.
Okay. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, this session is brought to you by Yes Bank, and thank you, gentlemen, for talking about easing trade and forex path for MSMEs. More importantly, guys, I can connect you to these gentlemen. So become part of the Your Story Club, and I will make sure that these gentlemen come back and give you one-on-ones if possible. They would certainly want to go in depth into each of your company's problems. So thank you very much, MSME audience, for watching this. Thank you, Yes Bank, and thank you, gentlemen from the startup community, the advisory community, and startups as usual. Ravi, thank you, Siddharth, being a corporate advisor. Thank you, Umesh. Thank you, Sandeep, Chaitanya, Mangesh. Bye-bye.